All right, I'm gonna share a screen of some information. Kevin, I know Kevin sent out an email earlier this week regarding AT&T Shape and some of the things that we're working on there. So let me share the document. Oh, that's weird. Yeah. I don't think it liked that one. There we go. All right.
Okay, first.
Yep, hold on a second.
Okay, first thing I'm going to put is AT&T Shape registration. So that's up. Good. Just attshape.com.
Oh, I had that on my thing. Yeah. I had it. I was sorry. That was up. 1 second. And you guys here.
There's a 30-second video that I want to try to play just a refresher. And then we'll go to registration.
Good.
Okay, everybody. Shape, AT&T Shape. It's coming up pretty quickly, about 6 weeks from now, June 2nd and 3rd. This is an experience that I attended last year. I think this is in its third year. The last year I attended for the first time in LA. It was initiated actually in San Francisco. Last year I came and was really as a consumer, just trying to figure out how to enjoy the experience as a consumer. But I quickly realized after sitting in on some of the workshops and panels that this is really for the person who wants to be a prosumer, who wants to be in the entertainment industry at any level, any spectrum. The workshops, the panels, the exhibits were all great, but they had a couple of other events and activities that I didn't know about, or at least I didn't really pay attention to. The one that really is relevant to you guys is called AT&T Create-a-thon. It's a competition for filmmakers. The deadline is April 27th. And this is an opportunity for anybody who wants to enter the competition to do a short film. There's a cash prize of $50,000, but for the first 5 people who are able to get through the process, you can shoot a movie on the Warner Brothers lot. They give you access to the lot and you can use it in any way you want to augment your film script. So it's a pretty cool experience. And then also there's people from Warner Brothers, HBO, and a lot of the folks who look at these film submissions. Even if you don't make it to the first top 5 or the winner, it's really an opportunity to get into the pipeline to look at being a short film content creator. So what we're going to do here is we're going to play a 30-second video to just kind of, again, reinforce what AT&T Shape is. Then we're going to go to registration so that at the very least, everybody who wants to attend can get it free. It's a $100 ticket, but we're going to be able to get it free for people who want to register. So go ahead and show the video there.
AT&T Shape. With interactive exhibits, sessions with industry experts, networking with peers, and more, you can dive into new immersive experiences, connect with tomorrow's visionaries today, and spark your creativity. So what are you waiting for? Register now for AT&T Shape, June 2nd and 3rd at Warner Brothers Studios in Los Angeles.
Great. So everybody that attended the AT&T Dev Lab, we got a special code for you, and they have provided the code for us. But since you guys can't get on, what we're going to do is give everybody who attended the Dev Lab a chance to register for AT&T Shape. Is there anybody who attended the Dev Lab that wants to attend? Okay, so
so basically, I'll put a note by your email address, and real quick, and I will make sure that you get that. So it's Terry.
And there's a separate code for people. I can still get people in.
So hold on 1 second. Terry, Nadine.
Hold your hand up high. So.
Got it. Let's see. Stephanie. Vanessa.
Alex?
Everybody in the
Alex?
class is going to go, but just keep
Alex was in there,
raise your
right?
hand if you attended the Dev Lab.
And you were at the
You were at the
Dev
Dev Lab, yeah.
Yeah. Did I miss? Oh, Pablo. Anybody that I missed? Oh, Yvette. Got it. Perfect.
Okay, and to you folks, I want to make sure that I acknowledge you and thank you for showing up, because I'm going to start taking accounting of everybody that shows up to every activity, including the class, because there'll be a special thank you for all of you guys. It'll be something that will help me understand who and why shows up to these activities. Okay, so for everybody that wants to go, please raise your hand who didn't show up at the Dev Lab. 3.
Okay, and those who want to go, yeah, I was going to show you the picture. I'm going to share with you guys the picture real quick. So who wanted to go is Kimberly Hernandez. 1 second. And this is SHAPE. Okay. There you go. Shape SHAPE and there's one more. Who wanted to go?
Is there anybody that is in here that doesn't want to go?
No, I think we got everybody. Well, then everybody. Look, I think everybody who's got a 5 next to him who's here today, except for Luis Munoz. Oh, did you want to go to the shape? It's June 2nd.
Yeah, there's I'm going to give
3rd. It's a 2-day thing on the weekend.
Right. Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
I think the activities start 12 noon.
Sure.
Well,
Yeah.
We'll make sure you get the information.
It's $100 ticket, so everybody who's not getting this comp thing is going to have to pay $100. And there'll be a lot of people. It'll probably be sold out again as it was last year. But there's a reason. Yeah, there's a reason why I'm actually trying to figure out who wants to come, because there's a why. There's a why we're going.
Oh, no, you don't have to pay. We'll make sure you get a code to go for free.
Right. Okay. And Terrence, can you bring up the registration? Because I just want to show them what I'm going to put in there. Okay.
You saw it, right?
Registration right there. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to take your information and put it in here. So at some point, I just thought about this. I can't give you guys the opportunity. I can't take your password verification and all other stuff here. So what I'm going to ask to do at some point, maybe during the break, I'm going to try to see if I can sign everybody up. And that way we can get everybody in. So through one central computer, we'll just get everybody signed up during the break.
Perfect.
Okay?
All right.
All right. Now,
Thank you.
okay, so if we can flip through that slide, I'm going to show them exactly what it is we're doing just fine. And I'll go through the slides real quick.
You should have changed the font color right there because it's so bright. You can't really read it.
Which one?
Right in the beginning page. On the other page, right there. I can't read that. It's really bright.
On the summit, where's the summit?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's a good.
The one between the brown bag and the thing.
Oh, I see it
You may want
presented
change
to.
the color of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So it'll be
Good.
readable.
Good suggestion.
Let's just
Mhm.
go to this. Can we go this way?
Because you
Right.
guys are-
Okay, can you do full screen?
I can't do it. I don't want it. Well, I
Or
can't. I can
do
switch
it.
up the presentation.
A question?
A border.
Sure,
Is the event inside of the studio?
it is.
It's in and out. Actually, it's really a nice little combination. You get a chance to see the whole Warner
What
Brothers studio.
specifically location will be, like, it'll be like out in the backlog or inside of the
Everything.
studio?
You
Or
have
it's
you
gonna
have
be everywhere,
access.
right?
Yes. So literally, you get the benefit of the whole Warner Brothers studio tour.
Me
I've
and
been
Mom
there
used to
once
drive
before.
by
It's
that.
cool, huh?
And
Yeah,
that
I've been there
was
before.
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big
The
deal.
back lot, all the props, everything.
I
All the
saw
sets.
that inside. They're specifically in one location.
Yeah, no, this is the whole lot.
Yeah, no, it's a big deal. I mean, for them to invite folks to be able to participate and get an idea of what this is all about.
So the product inside is very expensive. You purchase one, it's like $1,000, $7,000 for a product for inside the studio. Like, that's a lot of money for one product of a artifact inside or whatever inside of it is.
Yeah, right.
Okay, let's go with the first slide. So I'll roll through this. And actually, you know what? Just for the sake of time, I'm just going to give everybody why I'm doing this. Okay. So guys, what we're attempting to do with the next 6 weeks or the last 6 weeks of this program is we're trying to create a signature or say a culminating event for everything that we're going to do together. It's going to have us up, have an opportunity for us to present what we've learned, what we want to showcase on June 1st, which is a Friday. We'll get a chance to take over the auditorium and plan an activity, an event that will again showcase what we want to a group of folks who are called stakeholders in the entertainment and primarily in workforce development. These are people that are folks who can actually, again, just make or break our program as well as make your career. So we're going to have a lot of these people here looking at a program that's going to, again, give us a chance to showcase everything that we want to showcase. Right. So I'm going to give you guys editorial participation and to figure out how we want this event to look, feel, and taste. So we're calling it right now the Summit, but it could be called anything. So I'm going to look for people to help me put together editorial committee to figure out what are we going to do to call this event what we think is going to really exemplify what we want to do as a class. And we're also going to figure out how to make this presentation that I've put together work for us. That means there's going to be some marketing and graphics. There's going to also be some people who know how to go online, who can do things like, web design, blog, social networking. All these are going to be the components of us being able to put together an end-to-end product for us to work towards making sure we share it not only with the people that are coming, but with the administration here, with the instructors here.
And the key is the content should be what comes out of these next 6 weeks in terms of what are the pitches, what are the ideas, taking everything that we've seen from hackathons and the rest, and there's going to be sort of what you would call MVP, minimum viable product, right? 3 or 4 of the ideas and pitches that get presented and get agreed upon in the next 2 sessions, those become the things that actually get built. And then representing that process and how you all participated in building them is really, I think, the outcome for this is you each get a chance to stand up and say, look, I was on the team who built X. This is why we built it. This is what we built. This is my role. This is what I did. These are the skills I learned, that kind of thing. And certainly that is also part of the team presentation of what was your X, right? So those are the 2 components of a presentation of the team and what you built and what you did, and then a presentation of yourself. Because in the end, that's what the saleable asset.
Well, for me, I want to make sure that I record everything that we do from this point on to give every single team member not only a role and rotate you through, but give you a credit for how, again, this thing came together with your participation. So there's one slide here. I guess we've got it up. This is what I've decided to try and put this event into context. It's called Collapsing the Barriers of the Creative Technology Economy, Silicon Beach. And I don't know if you guys know where Silicon Beach is. Does anybody not know where Silicon Beach is?
In Silicon Valley?
No. Oh. Does anybody know where Silicon Beach is? Anybody? Yes, well, it's a geographical area. Playa Vista is kind of epicenter. YouTube space is there. There's a lot of growth, startups, a lot of the companies who are really, again, looking to converge entertainment technology are there. So we look at it as the beachhead of all the things that will, again, provide some new emerging opportunities for people to learn the future skills to meet where these people are going to be building up an epicenter for tech entertainment. One of the partners that are in Silicon Beach is AT&T. They're in El Segundo. So the folks who visited there, that's part of Silicon Beach. Okay. So collapsing the barriers means that there may be some entry points for you guys, but there may be just as many barriers. And we're going to try to figure out how to collapse as many of the barriers as possible by bringing AT&T employees, as well as some other corporate people in that space, to tell you what they can tell you about how to get to your entry point, your individual entry point, and getting into the industry at the level and the pace that you want to get there. So if we just distract with why the summit. So again, and this is why the summit for me. So if we just take a few minutes and look at that, because that's the editorial part of this. This is why we're doing this.
And what I'll do is, as usual, I'll take this presentation. It'll be up on the internal class segment, so everybody can get to it after this and sort of read through it and the rest and get an idea of how this comes. If you think about it, something that's going on tonight here on the campus is they're putting on a show. It's the Drama Club. And so this is the Drama Club's chance to try to present a show. It's their practice. It's a show, but it's sort of a practice show that the Drama Club is doing to get the practice and work into how to put on a show. And I think you look at this as this is the culminating show for this class. And we're going to come up with all those elements within the next 6 weeks, 8 weeks, in order to present that. So that's the...
And our goal really is to go with the people that are here. There's probably a lot of opportunities for other people to be involved. But the way I look at it is that if there's people here who want to participate, I'd like to know that they're interested and they show up. So my goal really is to try and find a way to take the 2 top partners in the summit. They're the Los Angeles County Arts Collective. And in this slide, there'll be a little information about them. Again, those are the people who are going to essentially be the host, and they're going to be inviting all these people. The other partner is Apple. We've got a friend inside of Apple. They work at Apple Education, and they are going to be the keynote to present a understanding of how the gaps between the educators and the learners can be closed. And there's a huge gap in which I think that we can start to have a discussion about. And this discussion, I think that he's going to have, I think I'd like to be able to have it with you guys as you guys look to help us plan this event. So a lot of you guys are going to be involved in one level of helping us make sure that the event is operationally and logistically okay. But some part of it, we may find some people who say, I want to have something to say. So again, the slide presentation is pretty long, so we can send that to you. But the idea is, again, we're going to come together as an editorial group to try to figure out what we can put our footprint on this event, because the run of show, actually, that's a question. Does anybody know what a run of show is?
So a run of show is for a live event, it is your script. Your run of show has everything from who, where, why, when, what, right? All your basics. And so run of show would start with when is it? What is it? So it's the summit. It's going to happen on June 1st. It's going to happen in the auditorium here. Who's participating? Apple, AT&T, LA County. And from that point, then it's scripted out, right? From the time it starts, who's on first, who does the keynote, where does it go, and how do all of the moving pieces all the way down to all the visual elements, audio elements. It is a show.
Has anybody ever participated or produced a talent show?
A talent show?
A talent show. What did you do?
I performed in a talent show in high school.
Okay, great. Okay, so yeah, because I think at some point I'd love to be able to have 1 or 2 people at least represent what they can speak on about the program and the build-up to the June 1st event. So it'd be nice to have someone represent that that part of what I think people would like to hear from. It's always good to hear from people as opposed to just seeing them take a bow without really getting some real connective tissue to them. So the way that I believe most people will be able to help us is, again, in the planning and the execution. So that means from logistics, we'll need to have people help out on that day. It's going to be 12 to 3 o'clock, normal start time, but we'll have to ask some people who can get here early enough when we're planning and training through this thing that will be here to help us greet and meet some of these very powerful people. Is there anybody that is not willing to help us out in that capacity? Okay, we're gonna have some fun because this is going to be an opportunity for you guys to, again, be part of the, I guess they call it the sausage making. Okay, everybody will get a chance to participate, I promise you, and you'll be recognized for it. So, any questions? Any suggestions?
I lost stuff. What you're talking about right now?
We're talking about the event June 1st. So we have event June 1st, and we're going to be working every Friday to work backwards to get to June 1st. So every aspect of getting that event together is what we're going to be looking for you guys to do.
And that's one piece, right? You still have project. The ultimate goal is to produce content. This is the ability to then showcase the content and showcase the skill sets that you've acquired in doing so. So if you think about it, you're producing your own final presentation as a class, as you're looking as teams to produce final projects of content. There, right? And that's the key. And I'll go back through some of the framework here for us in class, just to sort of bring us up to speed on where we are, where we have to go to get there.
Okay.
Yeah. And if you can just through a iteration of ideation of how you've done social media week events, anything that you can think of that try to amplify.
Sure. All right. So let me go back to real quick. So, all right. So just a quick recap on where we are, sort of where we've been, where we are, where we're going. So where we've been. First class, we had sort of an overview, digital footprint, sort of digital media 101, if you will. And really the idea was, LinkedIn, what's your digital profile look like? And this is all about presenting yourself, right? So the first part was about making sure that, what you're getting out of this is being able to be a professional in the space and identifying yourself as such. Because ultimately at the end, that's what Kevin's speaking to on June 1st, is ultimately a presentation of yourself and your skills and what's grown between A and B. Right? And the context for the class is immersive media. Right? So the context for what skills we're looking for and what skills are hopefully something, as Kevin talked about, Silicon Beach, right? Why was that important? Because the announcement says, hey, it's Silicon Valley, right? Great. Well, Silicon Valley is all the tech, right? And Hollywood is all the entertainment. And the opportunities, I think, that have been identified are the folks who understand how to blend technology and entertainment will be the folks who have the jobs of the future that can hopefully work in Silicon Beach, right? Because Silicon Valley has been trying forever to merge with Hollywood. And creatives and techs don't necessarily speak the same language. So what I've seen over time is they need translators. But you need translators who can execute with a certain skill set, right? So, creatives going to be here, and I'm the creative guy, and I need to do this. And if it came down to putting it on an app or putting it into VR or putting it into that, I don't do that. I'm just the creative guy. And unfortunately, in this world, if you don't drive your concept to how it will be executed in these new worlds, it may not be there. And the opportunity is, I don't think there's anybody better than you to drive your own concept into new tech. It just means you got to learn new skill sets. You got to learn new ways to communicate, new ways to present yourself. And so that's the opportunity here, because it's a wide open landscape. I mean, I don't know. So of the folks who were at the AT&T event, anything you noticed about the crowd that was there? It was diverse, right? One of the opportunities and one of the things that, so the Apple slide that we were just showing, you know, even Tim Cook says diversity is gonna win the day. Why are we here? Because the diversity, right? What's in this classroom? It's women, it's minorities. It's not the people you would think. It's not a bunch of guys from Silicon Valley trying to figure out how to do this.
I talked to people, one guy was from Brazil.
Yeah.
And then a woman had just installed something in Dubai, a VR thing or something. So, I mean, it was just like completely,
Right.
you know, real technical and not technical and all kinds of people there.
Right. So I'll go back to this picture, right? That's us at this event.
Oh, it's not that lady right there.
It's not the lady. Yeah, well, we pick up people along the way because we're a very accepting group of people. but that's the makeup we're talking about, right? That's the opportunity that I think we have. You know, but I think you'll see that that's reflected across the board. And why is AT&T doing that, right? Why you know, are companies trying to do that? Because they have to get a more diverse work, because you guys are consumers, right? So, and this will be important as you think about projects and the rest. You have to have reflective folks who are the consumers, who are the audience producing the content, or you're going to miss the boat. Right? So that's the whole idea. So one, everybody who participated was really cool. I thought that was a big piece. There's a blog. So one of the other pieces was put together the blog. And Kevin, so did Amber help you do the blog? Who helped you? So Amber's not here, but so Amber's probably the first person. And because Kevin, we've known Amber, she's like the first intern doing stuff, but along the lines of what we're talking about, right? So Amber was the editorial / content wrangler, if you will, from that event, who helped to pull together all the relevant pieces. So you got pictures of different tweets that went out, Kevin's tweet that went out here. I think Terry had a tweet that we featured here on the blog, if I'm not mistaken. There you go, right? So this is real time, right? You already have created content to share about your experience.
And oh, by the way, this is the reason why I'm trying to develop a relationship with the AT&T people by showing our participation in real time. We did 2 days of this, and we were able to get this video uploaded and the blog set up. It's sent to Artie Flowers that night. And that's kind of, you know, this doesn't go out to the public, but it goes out to our partners to let them know that we have capacity to actually be a real publishing arm to promoting anything that we see. This is exactly what I'd like to see, if we can get an editorial group that can do this kind of stuff, not just blogs, but social networking, tweeting and Instagram, all the other platforms. We want to be able to use those to show people that we are connected.
Well, the idea of this class is experiential learning. Right? This is not as much about me or Kevin or anybody standing here lecturing about how to do something. If you went to AT&T, you got the lecture from the source, right?
And so one of the things I want to share with you is why I like my job. One of the reasons I like my job is this is an experience we created at a museum called Bug VR. And every time we make something, we share it, and I get to watch people look at it. I get to see when they smile, when they where are they looking? When they're freaked out.
So if you notice, it's as much about people experiencing
Just think about like
as the
films
content.
that you made, show them to people. Like aside from like showing the film and sitting here and going, who likes it? What are they doing? What are they looking at? Like you put the headset on and I get to just watch you where you look. How you take it in. Are you bored?
Right. So that's an example of exactly what we're talking about, right? And you know, there's nothing like being in the room to see him. Like this guy he wrote a book on VR. Nadine got the book. So Nadine goes to the event and she is on the raffle and she gets the book from the guy who wrote the book. Autographed on the guy who wrote a book about VR, right? That's pretty cool. I don't know the class where you're going to go meet the guy who wrote the book. I might teach him a book, but I'm not trying to teach him the book, right? We're trying to drop you into the world of the guy who wrote the book. So
let's say,
okay, please.
Let's say you're using virtual reality and you're there in New York. You're not literally there. You're just virtually there. Is
Correct.
that possible?
Absolutely.
It is.
Yeah. So the things that we learned about were 360 video, which is I'm shooting 360 video right here, and I'm streaming a 360 video of this class session right here, right now, onto my YouTube channel. It's not being promoted outward to anybody, but I'm doing it to capture it as a point, right? That table stakes, right? And what this is doing is location, right? You can drop somebody who wouldn't be able to be in this class. Remember when we first came to class and I was saying, hey guys, if you don't get a chance to go to the class, I can send you a link and it could be like you're in the class. So we're doing a couple things right now. I'm streaming this to a channel in 360 videos, so you can actually scroll around. You have to look at me. You can look back in the back at other people. Or it's streaming to a YouTube channel right now. And so my parents in Virginia watch me on a YouTube channel. Hi, Mom, hi, Dad. Gotta give a shout out. But that's the power, right? That's what we're talking about. We are producing content as we learn about it in real time. That's the unique opportunity. That's the unique skill set that if you can walk out of this room and understand that those are the possibilities, right? There's a lot of different opportunities and jobs. And as you look at the world, you're going to look at the world way differently than some guy who's just been a filmmaker. As the gentleman in VR was saying, they're flat waiting for somebody to react to a screen to see who goes to the box office this weekend. It's one way to look at the world. Or I could engage the world right now and only care about the 5 people who watch this stream right now and you guys right here in this room. Those 5 people, because it's recorded, could actually reach 5,000, 50,000, 500,000 people, if that's compelling, right? That's called, if something crazy happened right now, it would go viral. If a tree fell in the room and we were here, the clip would go viral, like the VR class where the tree fell in the room, right? And it goes viral, and all of a sudden, you know, you're all like Instagram famous for 5 minutes. You know, but that's the change, right? So when we first talked to Kevin McNeely, who you'll hear Kevin talk about, who's the president of AT&T California, he imagined a world, because, you know, AT&T has been looking to buy Warner Brothers, and his vision was that there would be a new group of creators who would create quality short form content. So you look at YouTube today. YouTube today, short form content, quality maybe, right? Who determines the quality? Well, you have people who have, so the line, I didn't really want to mean to get in this, but so you guys all heard about what happened at YouTube, or
the YouTube
shooter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Shot 3 wounded that even she killed in suicide.
Correct. Anybody hear why?
Because she has like an algorithm in YouTube of subscribers and a lot of that as well.
So she was mad because we were in the class talking about this, and I was telling you guys about YouTube just changed the rules on who could monetize content, and it was going to affect 80% of the bottom group of people on YouTube who don't either have enough subscribers or enough hours of viewership to maintain monetization. And also in her case, her content was also being censored for whatever reason. Right. But what does that all say? Okay, so let's take that. Does anybody know why Mark Zuckerberg was testifying very recently?
Because of privacy. Right.
So it's Facebook, it's privacy. What it's really about? Data.
Yeah.
Too many data.
Well, okay. Let's look at it like this. We talked about your digital footprint, right? Your digital identity. Your digital identity is defined by the digital places where you go and where you frequent and the footprint you leave, right? So what companies do you think know the most about you based on the digital footprint? Facebook, who in social media? Which ones?
Oh, Instagram.
Instagram owned by Facebook.
Yeah.
And who else would you do? Somebody said browser. Who else you think is in that game? Right? Who owns YouTube? Google, right? There are a few companies, Amazon, the president was going after Amazon. Why? Because Amazon controls commerce for a lot of people. And people get upset. Jeff Bezos is now the most rich man in the world based on the fact that we all have Amazon Prime. It delivers to your house in 1 hour to 2 days. They own Whole Foods. Why would they buy Whole Foods? Distribution, right? What did Whole Foods give Amazon? Right? Whole Foods gave Amazon a way to distribute to all of the people based on all of the data where you live. So the issue with, back to Facebook, right? So Mark Zuckerberg was on answering questions related to how does Facebook use your data? Your data are the remnants or are the artifacts of your digital footprints.
What was the question again?
So it's why was Zuckerberg being deposed, having to answer questions? It's because of the data that they control. And this gets back even to, if you think about the Russia scandal and all the rest, what was that about? It's about a very subtle manipulation of data that makes certain information show up on certain pages. Well, how do you do that? Data, right? If you go to Facebook and you like certain things, you go to certain pages, you use the browser when you click out, you put certain stuff on Instagram, you have certain people that are in your feed, right? All of those things make up a data pool of you that would probably be more accurate than the post office, even Experian, the credit bureau. Those guys might know what you bought in the past if you paid your bills on time where you live. But Facebook is on most people's devices all the time. And so they know all the time, perhaps, what you like, what you don't like, what you respond to, what you don't respond to. And this is all about a contract between the service providers you use and you regarding your data. So everything you go to has what we affectionately call a EULA, end user license agreement. Yes.
I have a question. Is a lot of people deleting Facebook now because due to their privacy concerns, they're decreasing Facebook down?
I think you have a contingent of people who would say go delete Facebook. I don't know that that's the answer, right? I think that if you look at the world, the majority of people are like, I want to still talk to my friends and share the stuff that I want to share more than I care about whatever's going on. It's okay. That's all controlled, though. Good question. By your end user license agreement, EULA. Every piece of software you have out there, and they continually have pop-ups that tell you you continue to agree to this and you continue to agree to that. And everybody clicks to get onto the app they want to go onto, and nobody reads it. But it says very specifically what they do, what they don't do, what they can do, what they can't do with your data. And at some point in there, you have ways to opt out. Sometimes it's hard to opt out. Do you have a way to say, oh, I don't want you to use my data. I want to use the service, but I don't want to use my data. So Facebook has a bunch of privacy settings that you could set it such that your stuff is almost as private as they allow. Just on your phone, you can have your phone not track you for ads or other things like that. It's a business that I'm in. We make a lot of money on the fact that people don't mind you tracking them to get relevant ads, but that's a thing to be concerned about. And what it really comes back to, though, is you, the consumer, right? You own your data. You use certain services in return for them using your data for free, right? That's the exchange. It's about being aware of that. And that's all changing now, how users, people interact with content and how people get paid to interact with content. Right? That's the issue of the YouTube shooter or the rest, right? She had content, she wanted to get paid, the rules got changed on how she was getting paid. She felt like people were cutting her off from an audience. You know, somebody had control. People are maybe upset that maybe Facebook has control of your data and we as users don't know what they're doing or don't understand, and people are trying to protect us from ourselves. In the end, you are in control of your own data. And the best way to be in control of all of that kind of thing is to be in the ecosystem, produce it, contribute, and then contribute to the process of how things should be. Before getting back to the guys who are in the AR, VR, that is a world that has yet to be defined. There's not yet the Facebook, even though they own Oculus Rift, of VR, right? There's yet to be the place that's the killer app for VR. So of the stuff that you guys saw, does anybody remember any of the concepts that stood out to you that you've seen in the last 3 or 4 weeks regarding AR, VR? Let's get towards pitches, but anybody got any ones they want to share that they saw that was cool, they thought was cool? I was getting ready. I was gonna pull that out.
I enjoy the fact you play video games inside of VR.
Yeah. Yeah.
The physical position rather than just the remote control you get into the physical position. You get a lot of movement inside.
Yeah. Well, there are legitimate esports leagues, and that has yet to go VR, right? But there are definitely people who get paid to play video games. Company just launched the Blizzard Lounge. They have training facilities. It's a room like this, but it's set up with all gaming PCs. And literally you go in and what game is it? You know, the NBA 2K18 or various games?
In Blizzard, right?
Blizzard, yeah, Blizzard, the game company, they have a team and they sponsor a lounge and an area for you to go and learn gaming. It's a legit biz. People get paid a lot of money to be esports athletes. And what is all of that? All of that is content, right? Because esports athletes create channels. There's a channel called Twitch, and Twitch is a service just of you being able to watch people play in the games you want to play, and people go do it so they can learn how to play the game. But also there are people that you root for and guys that you know who are the champions. And what is all that? That's content. Right? At that point, so I want to back this all the way up to, so if I was an e-gamer, what would the tools of my trade be? If I was an esports e-gamer, what would my tools be? What would be the things that I would be good at that make me a good gamer, esports gamer?
Well, most esports are sometimes teams and they're single players, and issues both also have fast hand movement. If you're playing on one, I know my friends are right now working on competition, so all teamwork. There's a Splatoon competition going on.
Okay.
Winners gets to represent their country for a whole world tournament.
For Splatoon?
Yes, for Splatoon.
Okay. Hand-eye coordination, understanding a little bit of code, understanding a little bit of games, understanding a little bit of the content, that kind of thing. How do you work in a team environment, right? All of the games now are like the VR. Communicate to each other, right? It's mixed reality, right? You're talking to someone, you're telling them what's happening, you're playing yourself, what kind of controller you have.
But if you're going single player, reaction, how you react to
reaction time.
People.
Right. And how do you comprehend, right? How fast can you understand what's happening on the screen? How do you work in real time, right? Knowing how to manage it. One of the first exercises we had in the class was, hey guys, you got to go shoot something. You got to get done on time. That in a game, you have a certain amount of time to accomplish a certain objective, and how good you are at solving that in a certain amount of time makes you successful, right? But I didn't mention agility, didn't mention anything physical. I don't have to be a certain height, a certain weight, a certain gender, a certain anything.
Than it is physical. All the things physical is pressing a button.
More mental, right? So more AR, VR, you Ready Player One-ish, right?
I actually wish that was real. Well, going to Virginia and talk to people from all over the place.
Did anybody see Ready Player One? So what did you guys think?
Very good.
But what was I'll tell you, I have yet to see it. I know the whole concept, but I hadn't seen how it ended up. But what was the thing? I mean, immersive, right? What else made it?
Especially like how simple, not simple, but like for example, one of the things he's wearing a suit where if they touch you in the game, you feel it on you.
Yeah, that's so think about so you know what that's called haptic responses. If you have a phone that vibrates when you touch the keys, that's a haptic response. It's giving me force feedback. The rumble on the controller. Please go ahead.
So I didn't watch the movie Monitor that was like meta about like a certain system.
Interesting.
Because we're getting close to that type of technology.
I think you're. I mean,
And I mean the shady.
You know, you can very well look. One of the things that we learned in the lecture regarding AR, VR, and the experiences was you have to take responsibility of the things you create, because there are good and bad. There was one gentleman, I think, who continually brought up all the different things on everything from motion sickness to you know,
crashing into walls,
crashing into physical dealing with VR, and also like young kids, right? The reason we talked about a little bit, creating this little fearlessness, right? Ready Player One, yeah, I'm physically in the world, but in that game, I could be King Kong, right? And to really believe, you know, people distort reality. And you help them distort reality, so you have to be responsible in what you create.
That's
It also addressed addiction.
Right? You get lost in it, right? One thing about
who the World
this stuff,
Health Organization is saying that's a disorder now.
of course. Who controls? So we're back down to control and data and responsibility and all these other things that are different from putting up a movie. Right? Just putting something out there. It's not that real. It's not that important. It's not that socially significant. But all of it, I think, if you could argue that all those things are part of what you think about now as a creator. And certainly in the AR, VR space where you're carving new ground. There's a woman who I met at the hackathon. She's African American. She created a VR game. And in the VR game, one of the things you have is you can show hands. You show hands. And so she always puts dark brown hands in the game because she's African American. But that's a statement, right? Or imagine putting a female voice into something, right? Or a male voice. Those choices of how you do that creatively can be very reflective. The avatar I showed you guys in the last class that I made was an avatar of African American Jew, right? So very, you create a new version of yourself. So think about taking that digital footprint we talked about, right? That's just a digital, how do I call it? Maybe a flat view of yourself in the digital world. I search you, you come up in words and print and images this way. But as you take that persona into avatar-based engagement, all of those things are gone, right? I mean, you talk about the guys who would maybe try to fool kids, so the kids don't be aware of who you would talk to online, because that, nice kid that you're talking to online could be a 50-year-old dude trying to act like a 13-year-old kid, which is creepy. But weird catfishing people who are trying to act like a dude, but it's a girl, and it's virtual, right? All those lines are blurred. And so you have a responsibility to what you create. Merge Cube was cool. I didn't get to bring the cube itself, but if you guys want to see about the box anyway, so you can see Merge Cube as an experience was literally a box, but when you look at it through your phone, it had games and things you could do on all the sides. You took a flat object like this that doesn't really mean anything as a plastic box, but through AR, you turn it into an experience that you can interact with your phone. So again, objects and the rest are super important. So one, really appreciate you guys that came out participating. This is really the idea of how do we communicate what we've participated in. I want to go back real quick. So I did this because, so I was a mentor at the hackathon. Yeah. Oh, please go ahead.
When you say hackathon, does it mean you're hacking someone's computer?
Hackathon.
So interesting. Hackathon was really sitting down, trying to learn new software and create something new from scratch. So part of the project that you guys are participating in is it's almost like a 6 to 8 week hackathon, meaning I don't think anybody in here today, okay, let me ask the question. Does anybody in here know how to program in Unity?
Some minority of it, but I don't know so much.
Dude, you are in high demand in this classroom. Because if you actually know how to load Unity and you know a little bit about what that's about, you're 9 times out of 10 way better. So you might be considered then in Unity a hack, a guy who, I know it, not saying I'm an expert, not like maybe you have Premier certification, right? But Unity, and one of the things that we were talking about for jobs are, if you are a certified Unity developer, then there are jobs, there are opportunities. Actually, give me 1 second. I just want to show you what your Unity skills are worth right now, right here. Junior Unity development, applied VR jobs on the Angel List, compensation $60,000 to $90,000.
A lot of money.
Right? So you say you know a little bit. If you could walk out of this class in 6 weeks and help people on these projects and do stuff, and you're the Unity guy, and you walk out with 6 weeks more Unity credits for 4 projects, you might be able to be considered a Unity developer. And I'd love nothing more than to have you be able to be considered for a job like that.
Does Unity have like a limited amount of animation? That's what I heard. Like it was like small. Let's say we make a bulk bounce and it has like a very small limit of animation.
They do, but people do. There's Blender. There's all kinds of other code that you can do more with. The cool deal is, even with whatever limitations Unity has, what Unity has is distribution. Unity is a huge company, globally distributed game engine. It is the engine of preference. So we go back to the USC Hackathon, every one of these winners had a Unity developer on the team.
The game engine.
And that's a very, sometimes we need to just go.
Like Maya, but it's more of a game.
Right, correct, right. So Maya is your 3D. So you have 3D Studio Max and Maya, where you can build 3D characters. Remember I was showing you guys the 3D character and then being able to put motion to it with Adobe. So Unity takes those 3D characters that you can input in Maya or 3D Studio Max, and you can do a bunch of, you're saying it has some limited animations, but you can take a bunch of 3D models, put them together, and that's literally how some of these guys got it going. But Unity Technologies is a not billion-dollar corporation. They're doggone close. They are huge. They're in the Bay Area, Silicon Valley. They employ a ton of people, and they also have an ad engine where if you have content built on Unity, they can put ads in that content to help you get paid. So
How do they do that?
it's from a technology layer. So they have an SDK that you can plug in. Actually, you don't even need the SDK. They plug in to a bunch of ad networks that basically put videos right now. They're working on a thing called the Unity Virtual Room. And so basically you can make a room sponsored. Right? So I would love to see a concept that's built on Unity where we do something with an ad concept for monetization, right? So that's what we're getting to is these are some tools, right? And tools plus creativity equal an opportunity for you guys to build concepts that are worth money. These guys for a Tai Chi VR, I was showing you guys this one. We'll play it again real quick. So it's helping you to learn Tai Chi and the movements. Yeah, you're supposed to make it peaceful, but. So they're using so you have controllers, and the controllers map if you're doing the movements correctly.
Are you supposed to mimic the movement?
You're supposed to mimic the movement that you see. If you mimic the movement that you see and get it correct, so it's teaching you Tai Chi virtually.
Oh, I thought you're supposed to attack the
Oh, well, now here you go. Now we did talk about making it so that Tai Chi thing started as a fighting as a like a Taekwondo fighting game, and they ended up making it a Tai Chi simulation because it was easier. I talked to the team. I told them about this, character, and you could input it in and the rest is everything. They can make opponents. But I think if you look at one, you have to create something in a certain amount of time that's viable. They only had a weekend to come up with this prototype and make something that worked with these controllers. And why it's called a hackathon is because literally they're hacking this thing together. They're using a different VR headset. They got a Unity guy trying to program this. You got creative people writing storyboards saying, here's what I want it to look like. And that team of 4 or 5 people came together and produced that video and a working demo in less than 72 hours. That's why I won $5,000, because you guys could easily see, okay, well, yeah, I might buy a VR app to do Tai Chi. So over the break, it was NCAA March Madness. So I paid $20 for the Intel VR. I don't know if anybody watched March Madness? Basketball, no? So the basketball, Intel sponsored a VR experience to check out March Madness. So for $20 during the game, what you had is put on the Samsung headset, and you could sort of see from their camera view what's happening on the floor. But it wasn't like you're in the middle in your VR, you could ISO the player you want or the rest. It was just more of a, in the headspace, you had this big curved screen that had a different kind of a video angle than you could see. You could at least look around on that, different than what you can see on television. It was $20. And so literally, I mean, if you think about that experience, was another camera angle. What the big thing was, it was location based on what you were saying, is it drops you into being in that stadium during that time. The $20 was, at least for 4 games all the way to the finals, I'm at least sitting there more immersed than maybe I'm looking at my television set at a bar. Right. So and it had other visuals, right? So VR can do a few things, right? You can drop you into a location, 360 video. Somebody drops into the classroom and they're here 360 right now. There's also an idea of data visualization, right? Showing what's happening from a data perspective while things are happening, right? So I'm able to see the game and see the stats, and maybe I can pick my own favorite player and I can watch his stats and watch other things. Much like when they did the thing for DirecTV and you can watch 8 games at once, like being in a casino sports book. Not that I do that a lot. But have you ever seen the casino sports book? There's a bunch of screens all the time watching multiple things. And you can imagine that VR, AR might give you that kind of visualization, right? I might have glasses on that while I'm watching this game, I'm getting the sports scores that are going on over here, right? Two screen, today I got the CBS Sports app, so I can look down from the TV set and I can look at the splats, but if I'm just looking at the screen and it's still there, those are some easy uses of AR, VR. So the Tai Chi was a grand prize winner for top VR. There were the backpack, the Follow Me. We looked at how they did a one to follow them out of the best Windows mixed reality. The Vault simulation, FlickSync, interactive entertainment, machine learning AR. That was the one where you had to do the lines from Alice in Wonderland. Stroke Rehab, which I think we thought was pretty good. So again, these are all concepts that were developed within a 72-hour period. So I'm going to put these in this link so you guys can think about it here. And we'll get ready to take a break here real quick. But after the break, I want to come back and talk a little bit about, I want you guys to think about these questions right here. So one of the things you want to do when you come back is anybody who has an idea that they are willing to pitch, give you guys your 5 minutes to pitch a concept that you have. We'll talk about it a little bit. And the things I want you to address is, what problem does your concept solve? What does it do? Does it drop me in somewhere, data visualization? Does it help tell a story a different way? But what is it solving? What's the concept solving for? Who is your audience? Who are the people who would consume it? Because you got to think about them. What is your role, your expertise in it, right? You're the creator, but what do you bring to the table in executing this project? What other skills do you need to complete your project, right? You might know how to do Maya, but you don't know visual effects. And all of you guys, we know, do not have Unity. We have you, but we need Unity development skills probably for your teams. And we know you don't have an AR, VR dev kit. But those are the things that we're going to go out to work on providing for the team. But the key is right now creative ideation and coming up with concepts that we believe in. And the goal would be to come up with at least 3 to 5 ideas that we could rally around. I mean, if you look around as a class, if you had 3, it's maybe 4 or 5 people. If there was 4, it'd be 3 or 4 people to a group. So just think about those kind of things. And the guys who are creative, you got to convince people why they might want to work with your team. I mean, and maybe everybody's like, hey, man, that's the one idea. And we all want to try to play a role or figure that out. But I'd at least maybe like to have a couple of concepts with the goal being we got 6 weeks to get it to some state of having a video representation. So, what the team at USC did in 72 hours, we have 6 weeks to come through and get it done. So I think that gives us some time. And what I want to walk away with is some form of a working prototype and a video presentation of the idea. And those are the things that we can showcase on June 1st. And then the other goal would be have you guys all prepared to tell your story. So I'd also like to, by June 1st, have each of you be ready to do the video kind of thing that we did. But I want each of you guys to be able to have a video of, here's who I am. My name is Terrence Coles. I'm a digital media professional for 20 years. I'm instructing a class on immersive media here at LA Mission College. My desire out of this class is to have every single one of the people who are sitting in front of me be employed in the digital media industry within the next 3 to 5 years and have fruitful careers in this business. That would be an example of very concise. So I want all of you to at least be able to do that. And by the way, you can reach me at ttcoles at LinkedIn, ttcoles at Gmail, and my resume is available if you need it, and I have it over here. I'm willing to be employed. And these are my skills. I know Microsoft and how to use a Samsung VR camera, that kind of thing. So with that, we'll take a quick sort of 15 or 20 minute break. and then come back to anybody who's got some ideas. So as a quick show of hands, who's got ideas to create? I know you got one, right? Yeah. Who else has an idea they want to pitch? Nadine? You have an idea you want to pitch? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Anybody else?
I'm right.
Okay, think about it. Okay.
Are we kind of supposed to make like a video? What
So the pitch at this point is just a concept. It's you saying, you know what? Looking at AR, VR, here's what I think I'd like to do. The Tai Chi thing. I'd like to do the game visualization, AR experience. I'd like to do a immersive experience to take people to Mars.
like I was thinking right here, it'll be nice if you put VR, like you're seeing let's say you're putting yourself in San Francisco, like, oh, there's people in cars everywhere. You're not literally there, you're virtually there, you know? So absolutely. So that would be I got a location-based concept and I want to do it around the city of San Francisco. How many of you guys are in? That would be a lot of algorithm. You have to make a lot of algorithms to do that.
Sure. Yeah. You know, look, the key is more about how viable is the creative concept based on the audience and how people like it. And then can we rally enough people around it that we start to iterate? Because in the end, I can't tell you today how you're going to get there. I can tell you if you define it and it has a good audience and it has an attractive concept, we can find a way to get there. And by the way, leave yourself open to iterate that that Tai Chi thing started as a Taekwondo fight simulator. It ended up as a Tai Chi education thing that won, right? So you got to leave yourself open in the creative process. And I know I want to do something around that and let the experience take you.
So it's supposed to be any concept for virtual reality, right?
Any concept for virtual reality, augmented reality, or mixed reality.
What's the second part you said?
Augmented reality is where you actually have on glasses and I might see information that I don't see otherwise.
Oh, I think I know what
That's AR. Mixed reality is I have a 3D game that's happening, but I also have a video showing the players in the 3D game. So it's mixed, right? I have a real world scenario and a virtual scenario. And then VR, of course, fully immersive in the VR. But all of that's on the table. So cool. So catch you guys in another 15 to 20 minutes. Take a little bit of time. We'll be back.
And everybody, I'm going to send you the password for you to register for
All right, all right, all right. So we are back. So Pablo, you gonna go first? You know, because hold on, yeah, hold on. I'm excited to hear yours. I gotta stop this. I gotta get the stream back on. I gotta get the video. I gotta get the thing pointed in the direction so we can see you. The world can see you, and you're part of the broadcast. So, Pablo, I did it.
All right. Well, first things I just want to start off by saying, how many of you guys have ever felt stressed? Really, like you just felt stuck.
We're students.
Our life 24/7.
Trump is our president.
There you go. And how do you guys cope with that? How do you guys try to get out of that feeling?
I play games with my friends.
Games. For me, I like going hiking. I love games, but it's just, to me, going out in nature, going to these, I'll call it like unexplored areas. I like just going off the beaten path. My pitch to you guys is I want to create basically a familiar yet different type of hike. A way to escape, a way to kind of go out in nature, but not having to leave your own home, but be able to put on the headset, be able to walk around, be able to create just a new world. I was thinking, what if we got a series of different locations and able to put them in? It's basically a giant map. So yeah, you still have that familiar feeling of being in these places. For example, I wanted to just well, let's say you put on the headset and you automatically start off in the middle of the redwood forest. You're looking up and the sunlight's hitting you and you're just walking around. As you're walking, you hear a waterfall. Head toward it, you see a river. Start following it. You start hearing animals. Monkeys, elephants. Where am I?
Call animal.
That's
trouble.
You follow it, and then you end up at the old abandoned zoo.
nice.
And it's like you're hearing the spirits of the animals that are calling you to. So as you're going through the enclosures, you're heading up to where the tigers would be at, to the little stairway in the dark. You end up on top of a mountain, top of a cliff. Probably most likely to kind of resemble. Have any of you guys been to Stony Point Hedge in Chatsworth? No. See, I wish I had visuals.
That was cool.
But it's a great place if you want to go rock climbing. Just a little. It's a great area just to hang around about. As you climb to the top, you find out that you're no longer there, but except for at the tippy point, Vasquez Rocks, over there by Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
And you turn around and you see a second cave, known as the Jim Morrison Cave, where you go out and write music. You go in there, walk in, and you see the sunset off the beach. That's what I'm pitching you. I want to create a world that it's so familiar yet different because you walk into different areas, you don't know where you're going. You can explore all of California, all these abandoned places, hiking.
I vote yes.
Pablo.
I love it.
Yeah, well, so what you come down to is so questions. Who's your audience?
My audience are mostly people looking for a way to escape their own reality, escape the stressful environment of school.
Sounds like everybody.
Yeah.
I like the E for everybody.
Yeah.
So what skills would you bring to this project?
To be quite honest, I don't know first two things really much of coding or anything at all. However, I would bring leadership skills. I would bring in my own vision on how I want this project to go. Different locations. I know a bunch of locations around California.
Okay.
We could even expand it out to even out of the country, out of the state.
So
You'll be able to make our
creator,
own.
producer, writer.
Yeah.
So you write the script.
Yes.
That's key. So I think then what's needed then is what you need. Of course, everybody's gonna need a coder.
Yeah.
Need a cinematographer, video, right? You need your video production, you need your video editing, sound, and then we need the viewers. Okay. I mean, I think most of those skills are probably there. So we'll for the moment, thank you very much. We'll come back and have everybody come back around on the project if you like the rest. Great job, Pablo. All right. Nadine, you want to pitch yours next?
I'm not feeling well.
Okay. You can sit. Right here. I'll give you a chair for you.
I had to take advantage of allergies.
No, there's no problem at all. Make yourself comfortable.
Anyway, I'm a master gardener, native Hano, and we're trained through UC Davis, the LA, greater LA district. Anyway, I was thinking of a gardener, you know, sort of a similar thing out in nature, and it's supposed to be really healing. A lot of people just don't do it, but I would not try and substitute ever not doing it. You know, like I have a friend that isn't getting out anymore. She's on her last time. And, you know, like if she could do something like, used to work in the garden, go out in the garden. But like, I have like two ideas came up. One is seeing, I know, working in biology for like 30 years, lots of students and even the parents and students our age don't know where the hell vegetables came from. I mean,
yeah.
I mean,
no, I'm with you.
And so if you had a virtual thing to go out in the garden and it would focus on a plant and then you could insert a video on
right.
explaining the plant or, you know, now
You mean like a Brussels sprout? I had no idea they could grow on stalks.
oh yeah. Well, and strawberries, their seeds are all on the outside.
Right.
It's like totally amazing, you know, and there's like all kinds of amazing things about plants and stuff. And they would probably want to just go visit a lot of, you know, times and find it. Or you could make it a little more scientific with scientific names and stuff. So like somebody training or something could learn more. But I was also thinking like at, Theodore Payne Foundation, a native plants. If you went to native plants and then you had an explanation come up, water, you know, plants that didn't need water and stuff, and you could explain what the plant is, how tall it'll be, what it would be good for to use in your garden or something. That would like, you know, you could really.
You know what's cool is if you had a component of data visualization along with what's going on with what Pablo was talking about, because there are definitely a lot of things in nature and those places that you might see. And you know how to put all the context around that. I mean,
I have like experience with, you know, gardening. I used to lead tours like in Franklin Canyon for nature and stuff. So I have, you know, nature background and stuff. So,
tour guide.
You know, and usually the animals usually do weird things with them. Pretty cool. Like I planned it all. Oh, look at that hawk! It just came right by us. But yeah, nature is really important in understanding it, and especially like with plants, there's a tendency to like get rid of that in education, right. and you know, it takes time and stuff. And although there are some community school gardens and stuff, but like now it's not that. You know, it's separate and people don't get to. So somebody could visit and learn stuff about gardening or learn stuff about native plants and how to use them.
I think that's awesome.
Yay.
Thank you. No, absolutely. And I think, you know, part of this is about a discussion, right? Of us, you know, coming out. There's, again, No right or wrong answers, no minimum number of projects, and no need to not maybe cross-pollinate, right? I mean, we're a small enough group of people. Oh, you did that. You got the cross-pollinate. But certainly, I think there's enough folks and enough things where we can all try to help each other and come up with various concepts. So that was good, Nadine. Thank you. So one more, Stephanie? No? Not yet? No. Come on. The other part about this is for you guys to get confident in just coming up and sharing what you need and
Well, I just thought that it would be cool to create kind of like a virtual reality obstacle course. Oh my god, oh really?
Are you serious? That's cool.
Collaborate.
Yeah, because I was thinking, kind of when I was younger, I would always use like what's it called? Like Mario 64 games, and then recently they made an app for Mario, and it's basically like Mario is constantly running, and you just have to like make a jump or things like that. And it's the same experience. It's a lot more it's simplified than when you're actually with a Nintendo. But I think it will be cool. Maybe if when we're using virtual reality, maybe we don't know how to make a character jump or constantly run because we are going to be in a confined space. But maybe the character is constantly running, and all we have to do is like pick our arms or grab things like that. Yeah, that's my idea.
I like that.
Yeah.
No, because you know how many so what's interesting about what you're talking about is think about how many games are built on the game engine of like Sonic Dash, right? And you're just moving and that, I mean, so that one of the biggest ideas is a game engine has a certain way that things play, right? So you've sort of laid out a mode of play. Character's constantly running and you're going to put things in the way you control it in that path. So it's taking a game engine and now having a concept that you can put on top of it that's your own intellectual property using an engine that would already exist. So I think that's really cool. Yeah. Come on.
So I guess I kind of have two thoughts now that you like mentioned Mario. I wanted to add like fun exercising, like exercise gets boring, whatever. So I was thinking like his idea, like, nature is like beautiful and it's like, I love working out in nature and yoga in nature. I don't want to be like inside of the gym or anything. So I was thinking like they could do obstacle course. So like, how people like jump through tires or like do stuff like that. So kind of that thing, and like so that you don't bump into the walls, and you could play like maybe tell the game that you have like 5 feet to work with, so you can like just run a little bit maybe, and then whatever, so that you can exercise and have fun and enjoy without like really noticing that you're doing it. And then you have like Mario, whatever, like games, I guess it'll be fun too, like jumping through hoops and stuff, and like your body's working without you really thinking about it or getting bored.
Nice. No, this is good, and I think one of the things that has been already thought about for virtual reality is skills training, right? Is the idea that the movements that you have in either playing basketball or the rest, if you mimic that and you practice those movements, you can get better, just like the Tai Chi example. So I think that it's extremely viable, and I see a lot of similarities amongst all of the things that are there, but also I see some different tweaks on how that could work. And if you thought about ourselves, as a production studio, right? Then the thing we would do would be take all the things that are common, work on those together, and then we would form teams and you would build your own tweaks to what a common engine might look like. So if you think about it, what's a common, because if we only had one coder or a couple of coders, what's some common code that we could all use that then you could branch off on and show different things? Because if you're walking through nature and you're walking through nature, but it's a very different experience, but very cool, right? We have two experiences around that with very similar dynamics of the actions and a way that things work. It's just a different, outcome. Same thing for how you were thinking about the world of obstacle course, what you were thinking about. I think those are very similar in terms of how they might interact. So what we're talking about right now is modeling, right? So there's between content shooting and a lot of this development is there's model, right? So like game model, a play design. What can you do given the different frameworks that we have available? So I think that's awesome. I think what we should do is think about, okay, got 4 pretty decent ideas. We should think about, I'd love you guys to think about, how do we create commonality of experience? How do we, take that, script them out? So think about a little bit as the next step of what's a script of gameplay or the virtual world play that you have. I think you have very close to a script. I think Nadine, it's tweak, right? So what does the script look like? Is it going along in nature and identifying things, which could be very much an AR experience, right? You can imagine in AR rather than VR. Here, I'm dropping you into a 360 world. Here, you're putting on the Microsoft HoloLens. And as I walk through real nature, real stuff is coming up. And maybe I'm learning facts and doing data visualization. The VR concept of that might be the act of gardening itself or something of that nature, where you can go into a virtual world and see a bunch of plants that you wouldn't see in the same place. So the one thing about VR is you could put, as you're saying, anything next to anything else because you're creating the world. So you could put things that don't indigenously grow together in an experience, which might be an interesting use of VR and an AR. But some thoughts to think about. I think for you, if you're thinking about then the movements, what I heard clearly here was there's an idea that you had about movements triggering actions, right? If something is in motion, what are the movements that you would use to trigger? And what would you trigger? What would is it points? Is it the number of things? Like the Sonic Dash game is all about, if you do the right thing, you hit the rings, right? If I'm the right set over, if I do the right thing, I get rings, I get points, something to reinforce the action you want the user to get. And then lastly, I would say, what are the sort of options? What's the gameplay? What does that person get to? And I think yours is much more real exercise to a certain way. And the question is, in a VR world or an AR world, how do you incorporate that real? It was so if you think about what Microsoft Connect is, but isn't. There isn't that the games for it. Are you guys familiar with Microsoft Connect? So Connect was the video game where it's dance, and I really got to dance in front of the thing, and it's looking at your body the whole time. And what everybody figured out was that Microsoft Connect is always on looking at you, and it's always on recording you, right? Like my son says, like, Xbox don't record that, right? And I'm like, hey, what are you talking? Oh yeah, that's right. The Xbox is always on when he's playing, right? It's listening much like an Alexa, right? But how do you use that? Right? How is what you're doing different in a VR world? Because at least in that world, your spatial thing, and the issue that we talked about in VR is how do you solve the spatial cues around that? And I think it's an interesting problem to solve and something that be very interesting. Anybody else got that? Oh,
well, like on her thing, if I went to that thing, Century City, and there was like rails to like be.
Oh yeah, the Alien Zoo, right?
Yeah, Alien Zoo. So that if you were like sitting down in a special chair that you could move around in, but so you were confined, so you were safe, or you had like a certain area, but you should be familiar with it before you put on the stuff, so you see what you have in the rail and stuff.
Oh, okay.
You could.
So you looked at, so they had a space and you sort of looked at it first, and then
well, in the Alien Zoo you didn't, but,
oh.
But you just, they said there's rails, and if it's a rail, it should be a rail.
Oh, so you put physical into the virtual.
Yeah, so that, but like if she had like some kind of chair, well, like even this, you can move around it. If you belted up in a chair and stuff, and was doing exercise, it would be safe.
Yeah.
Like Curtis had a light thing that we used like the other day, and the light was showing so that if you walked too close to outside of the light, there was like this like light wall, so that we need to step away from.
Oh, that was in one of the demos. They had a when the guy showed it at the VR class. You put a virtual, like a box, like a warning, like if you walk outside of the area, it's a virtual warning wall. Now the thing Nadine was talking about was somebody actually, since it wasn't really real, somebody got so immersed that they thought it was real, and then they try to lean over and fall down because you try to lean on something that, like, try to hold a rail that's not really there.
But
you said
the fact that he had, like, it wasn't like a real wall, it was just like lines, so if you knew it was
I like that.
But sometimes you get confused so that really have to work out safety.
No, I think that's really cool. I wanna look real quick. So do you see this vault?
A web AR experience because we really believe that the browser is the best way to reach as many people as we can. We use the technology A-Frame, which is a JavaScript-based framework that allows us to create AR and VR experiences on the web. As you see a demo, you'll see that we've used geometries and 3D models to render our scene. The best part about using A-Frame is that it's compatible across various platforms and its performance is highly efficient.
Once users begin their journey, they are guided by a path of arrows that lead them to several waypoints. Each waypoint has different types of content, including images, text, and even audio. Here we can see me walking towards a waypoint. At the waypoint, there's a signpost with a little bit of text that describes why this location is significant to the original author. Different waypoints and annotations can be great ways to share memories, compare how places looked in the past to how they look now, how they look during the day, during the nighttime, and even historically. The Unity local version uses absolute anchoring to anchor the map to the world. Users can then align and calibrate the map to adjust to their orientation. The map is generated by using latitude and longitudinal data that is converted then into Cartesian coordinates. Many people experiencing the journeys of others can often see places from a new light, a new perspective, have different emotions when they travel through it or see it, and even smile just at the thought of it.
Give you some ideas on see. So you see how they were using, and that was AR, right? So that's augmented reality, the real world juxtaposed with extra data and information as to how they developed that. So I think that's definitely one way to sort of think about the world, and then VR, right? The fully immersed with the other piece. I was trying to think, the VR one was Follow Me. This was, if you guys don't remember, I think, no, this is also AR. You guys remember this one, right? This is also AR, following the little dude.
Hi, welcome to the USC Ballroom. I'm Boogaloo, your guide. I'm going to show you how to exit the building in the event of a fire. Along the way, you'll have some challenges to complete. Follow me and I'll guide you to safety. If you see a fire but no one has set off the fire alarm yet, you might have to pull the alarm yourself. Look for a red fire alarm on the wall along your path. Hey, here's one now.
See, and then they had the
You
hand.
did not actually pull the alarm today. But if this were a real fire, you would push in the alarm, then pull down. For now, just say alarm to set off a simulation of the alarm. Alarm. Great job. You've earned your first star. Let's keep moving.
There you go. So you guys get an idea now of how that is another AR. Please.
Wearing the goggles, is that like the same thing as sitting really close to TV and right in your eyes?
It is very, so the Microsoft HoloLens, and let me see if I can show you the HoloLens. Give me a second. There you no, that's Mira. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I'll show you exactly what it is. Because the HoloLens is not right there. Let me see, HoloLens demo. Let's do this one.
Microsoft HoloLens brings holograms into your real world. Using transparent lenses, spatial sound, and an understanding of your environment, holograms look and sound like they're actually part of the world around you. That is mixed reality. With Microsoft HoloLens, holograms are viewed through the holographic frame centered in the middle of your view. This preserves your peripheral vision, so you can move freely and connect and collaborate with people around you. Holograms in mixed reality don't block out what you can see and hear. This enables you to engage with digital content and tools alongside the objects in your real world. Holograms can be world-locked in a physical location, so you can walk around them, or they can travel with you. You can even hear them in 3D with spatial sound. Microsoft HoloLens is the world's first fully untethered, self-contained holographic computer. With the mixed reality experience of HoloLens, you can stay in the real world and interact with real people as you simultaneously explore 3D in 3D.
Does that help a little bit? So that's your HoloLens. So in that world, that's mixed reality, right? You're blending the holograms and all the rest into the real world. Not very, I mean, it's right up there, but it's clear, right?
Oh, I mean, but like my question was like, especially with just like the game virtual reality, does that like mess with your eyes?
Well, definitely the proximity of wearing something that close as a screen has its pieces, yes. So you definitely need to, one, look at how long you're in that experience. There's a focus in there that you have to do to adjust for where you are. So like if you wear glasses in the real world, you might not have to wear glasses, depending on if you're nearsighted or farsighted in the virtual space, to not dually compensate.
Yeah, that'd be helpful because it's going to be glasses.
Yeah, the glasses on top of glasses, right? The mirror, it was interesting. I want to show you. This one is totally VR, but it's done in a different way. This AR headset here is my mirror. See that one? So that's projecting onto the screen right in front of you, right? And then now your traditional headsets, though, are this one right here. These are your two major headsets. You got the HTC Vive and then the Oculus Rift that are your two major over-the-eye headsets that pretty much they're right here in terms of your field of view there. And let me see what I get. That's the new PS4 one that came out there. So one of the big things to think about is for your experience, what's really going to be the best for how you want to immerse, and think about again, who's your audience? Is your audience really going to put on the fully immersive headset and do what you're asking them to do for the time you're asking them to do it? Right? Some of those things. So like watching a whole basketball game for an hour there was probably a little bit much, right? A little bit of motion sickness, and take it off and you feel a little bit out of whack. But certainly I watched a little bit of a quarter or this, that, and the other, and it was okay there. And I think one of the ideas is think about the comfort and the way that your audience is going to want to experience the process.
Yeah, I kind of see it. Like I found those called like VU or something, where you had like the scale thing that you stand on and exercise with. Like I really love that. And then you could like
so did my mom. You stand in one place. Absolutely. So there was one of these that did the guy riding the bike. And so he had a bike in one place, but the headset. You guys ever seen that one?
Yeah. You showed this.
Yeah. But so that idea, he built the stationary bike that stayed in one place, and he changed where you were going. Much like, Peloton has the screen, right? So the Peloton bike is the bike that has a screen, and you can sort of take your bike, class with whomever, right? And then, think about putting on a TV screen where you put a TV screen in front of you with the bike and you sort of see the mountain hill. The next one was really making it fully immersive, as if you're riding in the Tour de France, but stationary. And the one thing I did hear about, and I think somebody in this class was talking about this experience right here. think it's this one. Right here. The new revolutions powered by Oculus Rift. Yeah, so basically it's a roller coaster. Here, let me see if I can get the. It is.
Oh yeah, I want to try that one.
Right here.
This changes everything. Six Flags introduces North America's first virtual reality coaster, the new revolution. You're the firefighter as you dive and loop at 60 miles an hour to battle the aliens. The new revolution virtual reality coaster, powered by Samsung Gear VR, only at Six Flags.
So now,
Brilliant. So they took a crappy coaster and made it awesome.
right. Well, so instead of taking the same roller coaster, right? You put on the VR gear, they can put you in any kind of environment whatsoever.
Yeah, but they shut down that coaster for a few months.
Yeah, a little crazy, right? Well, and I think you had some people who were having issues of moving in the real world and the virtual world. So the idea that if your physical movement is not timed exactly to the virtual movement. So imagine if the virtual movement was a little off, a little slow, a little fast, a little to the left, a little to the right of your physical body, that would get you sick because your body's not moving like what you're seeing and it gets you out of whack. So synchronization of physical movement with virtual movement, and that's maybe in the game you were talking about, Stephanie, where if you're constantly running, you got to make sure that what you're doing and the timing of the things that you do match the speed at which you set it, so that the person feels the right piece, right? That might be a part of the design that you have to spend the time on. Is okay, did I put that object in the right place based on when I move the gear controller out to catch that object? Then does it match, right? Because if I thought I hit it but I didn't hit it, how does that work?
Cool. I get what you're saying, because when I played a game once and my character fell, I literally felt like I was falling too.
You feel like you're falling with it as well. Absolutely.
Because you fall like for a good 5 seconds.
Well, yeah. Think about if the roller coaster for real keeps falling, but if the roller coaster starts to go up, but you still feel like you're falling, right? Yeah. They don't time it right. Oh, please.
Does that need to be like fully immersive, or can something like actually like, say for instance, like aids you in your everyday like tasks or whatever, or so you get a new employee, and you know I see those ones when you're walking around and stuff, and you can see through them, and actually, so physically like a company wouldn't have to be there. Say if I have a new employee, he could actually he can see on the side of his little screen of what needs to be done, and if he's doing something wrong, it'll alert him and tell him if he's doing something wrong.
Yes. Yes. I think absolutely. And what's interesting is that's the key, is figuring out how do you make it useful, right? So exactly what you're talking about is this thing. I think we saw it, but I'll make sure you guys are there. This right here.
E-mobility and autonomous driving will change our cars. Over 600,000 employees and 120 production sites, efficient processes, and a close collaboration play a key role for us. We at Volkswagen Group believe that virtual reality will help us to successfully master these challenges.
Our mission at Volkswagen Digital Realities is to empower our brands and business departments for the usage of virtual reality and augmented reality. We need to engage our people to use the VR applications, no matter where they are. We need a smart infrastructure that allows us to integrate services from different suppliers. Together with our partners, Interactive, HTC, we create the Digital Reality Hub to make VR available to our people.
Digitization and automation changes the way we work at Volkswagen every day. Virtual reality allows us to bring together our experts from all over the world, simply set up sceneries, by drag and drop 3D models into it and improve our processes. We at Volkswagen strongly believe that virtual reality will help us to build the cars of the future.
We learned that the benefit of VR trainings is best if we are able to use the training scenarios in as many plant locations worldwide as possible, involving people from different brands and locations worldwide without the need to travel brings speed and efficiency to our content creation. We will be able to discuss the different states of development in virtual reality together with process experts, trainers, and developers. When it comes to rollout and lifecycle management, things will be much easier if we use an efficient infrastructure. We are then able to just upload new content, and the deployment to different locations worldwide happens automated and in real time.
So you get the idea. I mean, so yes. And I would think even if you took it to a level of you have somebody new that's going to show up at your work site, and you got to just have them, look, take this little automated thing and it's going to walk you around and say, here's the main printer, here's the accounting department, here's who works there. I mean, can you imagine if you're in your first, like if I came to the class and I had, you know, my Intel Vaunt, you know, AR glasses, it would have all of your names, you know, programmed into it. So when I look at you, your name pops up, so I don't feel like, oh man, that's you know. But I would also then have information that would say that computer is set up for X, Y, and Z, maybe the password for the computer, the stuff that I need to know.
That's what I'm trying to like what I was thinking is something that can basically be like an aid or a guide, like that's standing right by you all the time. That if you know, like I said, if you need help, you're on the computer. Say, for instance, I'm in the printing industry.
Yeah.
There's certain help that I would like to have, or that I've learned throughout trying to do this. That say, for instance, if I'm recreating a customer's design, what if I look at the design and I need to know the exact color for that Pantone? Like I could look or ask my screen, hey, what color is this Pantone color right here? And it'll give it to me directly, and I can go into the computer now and just print out my stuff that I need to print out.
Absolutely. You know, so. Just like that PaintMate.
Yeah.
Right? That was that one, right? You see it.
Something like PaintMate only.
But you talk to it.
Mine would be more, you would talk to them. I would be more for, basically for kind of like the printing industry, because every time, like when I went there, I spent hours and hours of having to go on YouTube videos and stuff like that. So it would kind of be nice to be able to say, for instance, I need to, you know, burn a screen or emulsion a screen. How do I do this? What are the steps in doing this? And it'll show, the screen will pop up and show me. First, you have to, your first step is grabbing your screen, going and grabbing your emulsion, putting it on a certain way, and give you a demonstration video or something like that. And then you do it yourself, and you're like, okay, now I got it.
You know what, dude? And what would be great is you could customize that to your process in your shop, right? Here's how we do it here. You know, because everybody has their own tweak to the rest, right? Our secret sauce in the emulsion process might be we use this special filter. You got to go over here and get that, because that's how we screen it better than the next guy.
And there's a lot of printers who have been in the industry a long time, so it's like when you're looking up these videos, they may not say, you know, just like when earlier the guy was like, you guys are talking about something, and then he was like, what is that that you guys are talking about? And there's a lot of times where I would be looking at videos and like, well, you got to do this and this and that process, and I'm like, what is that? Now I got to go back and look up what that process is to try to you know, what this word is that they're saying or the type of process that they're trying to use. So I need to go back and figure out now what that is to understand what this video is.
I like that, man. I really do, because I mean, you're taking audio cues into a particular process to aid people in everyday life, right? So I think when you have in that concept, really good definition of the audience that you're going to help, right? And I think one thing that I mean, if you look at Volkswagen, their concept is more about, hey, look, they have special ways they do stuff. They have experts around the world. They're going to put you in the room virtually with the guy who knows the most about whatever you're going to ask for.
And all the way down to measurements. Like, to me, I was thinking, like, for instance, like, I could see a mock-up of one of my designs on a shirt or something that I'm trying to put it on. And it's going to give me the standard measurement of what that design is going to be. The length of what it's going to be at a shirt. It's going to tell me or my employee that I hired, you know, the length of this should be so-and-so inches from the collar to here. And, you know, and just certain stuff like that.
Think about taking the picture of, you know, hey, take a picture of the subject, and now you're going to fit the design to the, like, hey, I'm out here, I just looked at this particular shirt, but based on that picture, you could already know what the print's going to look like, where you want to place it, and make sure the client knows before I walk out of here, here's the picture of the shirt you want. You move it around. You can see it. Where do you want it? You want it here, here, here. And by the way, you captured it so that the order matches what the client said, rather than going back and going, hey man, I thought this was supposed to be 3 inches higher.
Or be linked up or something to say email where you can say, okay, email the client.
Yes.
And it'll email it directly from your headset off to that client, and then they get the mock up, and then you get something back, it'll let you know approved or something like that.
We got to look at a headset that takes the audio cues. But AR and audio cues is something that we can look into. I think you should absolutely think about a creative treatment for that process. I think that's awesome. Yeah. Any other comments from anybody else about sort of that idea, process, any sort of ideas that make sense to you guys of how you might use AR in an environment also that's just day to day, right? Because I think that's the other piece you got to think about is some of this kind of stuff. You might do it, but how often are you going to do it, and how often are you going to find value in it? And for the user, when you think about the audience, are they going to come back to it? Am I going to buy it once? Or does it have a thing to come back to? If I have to learn Tai Chi, I'm going to come back and kind of learn all the moves. And I like your idea. If you go to different places, everywhere you get a different adventure, right? So every time, I want to come back because, where's Pablo going to take us this week, right? And it's a traveling mashup. This week the 3 places you're going to go, or whatever, or what other places you never know, right? I'm coming back and you might take me from Peru to Africa to LA in the same journey, and I think that's interesting for why somebody might come back. But give yourself the thought process of it. Certainly the exercise piece and the rest. People do that and they need something to keep them engaged, right? I mean, the one thing about exercise is nobody wants to go do the same old, right? The same reason that you don't want to go do yoga in nature is because it's nature, right? It's not just the same wake up in the morning, look at the floor of your bedroom, and you got it in, but did you enjoy it, right? Much easier to say, oh man, I had yoga this morning at the top of the point you were talking about. It's super peaceful, right? So you get some extra stuff with it, or making something fun and engaging on a run, that's not just whatever. So I think those are all very important points and things that you got to think about is, who's that audience? How are they going to engage? How are they going to re-engage? How does this provide value in their lives, right? Those are, because it's experiences. Just like content, right? I mean, in content, you're trying to expose a point of view. You're trying to bring me into a world that maybe I haven't seen and expose me to that through a documentary or through a film. Are you going to take me on an emotional journey? And the thing we're doing here is not only touching them potentially emotionally, but you have those other senses to bring in to how you interact with somebody, and you have to be respectful of that, but also use that to your advantage to get someone, because it's a product, right? Something you want to sell to somebody for $1 million one day. You want to say, yeah, you can say it's rated E for everyone. Good deal. So I think, okay.
Oh yeah. What if you have an idea that's already out there, but like, I mean, is that
Absolutely. I mean, just like we're saying, the game engine idea, game engines are built and they're out there. They do a certain thing, but you can have a tweak on how it works. Sonic Dash has put Sonic characters in the same game engine that is a character running through a world, but the tweak was the intellectual property. What would be your tweak, right? And there's nothing wrong with innovating on something that may have already existed.
I mean, because I was thinking for this about like learning languages, and I wanted to do the whole thing where like when you go on an airplane and you talk to about like language, like and you go to France and then you like do all like you do whatever like you do over there. And then everyone's speaking to you like that language, and obviously like you're learning it and you're like traveling and having fun. But then when I looked it up, they already had something like that. And so I was just like thinking, could you do the same thing but just kind of different?
Sure. So think about it like this. What about take your idea of an obstacle course, but set it going down the Champs-Élysées, right?
Yeah.
Set the setting or the people that you meet along the way.
I was kind of thinking that, yeah, but to mix because yeah, like one of the videos I was watching about that, they were at a hotel and like the hotel guy was speaking in German or whatever. And I thought, what if you can mix exercise into that too by like, you know how hotels have gyms? Like,
Yeah.
you go down to the gym and exercise while other people around you are speaking in that language. So,
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I think that's most interesting about language is language needs context, right? It's different if you drop me into, different if you go to the Rose Bowl and it's a game where it's a USA versus Mexico, and just the experience of what that is versus just a regular LA Galaxy game, right? And the language, right? Or drop me into Hamburg, Germany for a Hamburg game. And by the way, the World Cup's about to go to Russia. And so one of the things that working personally has been working with is there's a Nigerian soccer player named JJ Okocha who played professionally all around. He's going to be at the World Cup, and we wanted to equip him with a 360 video camera such that we could sort of see that through his eyes, right? And so, you know, he's a Nigerian who's played in Germany, going to Russia, and, you know, the cultural experience of Russia through his eyes, right? Very, very different, right? And his access, being a former like world-class footballer, he's a legend in sports. Like there's guys in Germany I know who know him more than most Americans know him. So his lens of experiencing that culture will be very different. And I think you can maybe immerse. So learning language through experiences, and if your common experience is exercise, right? Drop me in. Like, what would the biggest exercise or thing obstacles be if you were in Russia? You know, what would it be with Russians if they were doing that, right? And I have no idea, by the way. But I think you can expose culture through that context. Any ideas, thoughts? Make some sense? Cool. All right. So any other concepts or ideas anybody else wants to pitch? Think about. So what I'd like to do is give you guys the next sort of 30 minutes to think about some of the concepts. If you heard some of the stuff that you like or the rest, talk to some of the folks who are coming up with it. Maybe think about collaborating with the folks who have these concepts. I'd love to next week, 2 things. First production meeting of our production on June 1 of all of you guys and what we come up with here, right? So that'll be one step, right? Just a meeting of, hey, let's lay it out, right? What is it? Think about those pieces that we need. Next one is then the projects that we have here and which one may be interesting and who might be able to provide some other skills. And we may cross-pollinate, right? If we agree that there's 2 or 3 things that we want to do, maybe we merge some stuff together, maybe we don't. But let's look at the core, right? If we have a core group that could make up 2 teams, 3 teams, let's figure out how we get all the resources to get all of those things done. Reasonable? All right, guys. Thank you. And I'll be here to answer any questions. And Kevin, anything else you want to sort of bring up? Where at?
Yeah, a lot of things, but I can't think of it. No, actually, well, one of the things I'd love to kind of pick you guys' brain is